Oh, somebody who's host now?
That'd be me, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you. Okay. Okay. All right. So now start recording if you have not yet.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and jump right in. My name, as I mentioned, is Yesenia Rico, and I'm the manager of talent management here with Central HR with the City of Long Beach. So in my current role, I oversee both the talent acquisition division and the organizational development division within Central HR. And I'm joined today by two of our talent acquisition specialists, Anthony Lim, who will be running us through a presentation, and Bethelyn Staples is here for support. And then I will hand it off to Meredith Reynolds, our Deputy City Manager, in case she would like to add a few words before we jump in.
Awesome. Thanks, Yesenia. I appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited that you're here. My name is Meredith Reynolds, and I am one of the deputy city managers here for the city of Long Beach. I got my start right out of grad school in the management assistant program. So I'm an alum of the program, and I'm here today to support Yesenia and the team and answer any questions about what it's like to be a management assistant. While she's going to cover kind of the process that we go through for recruitment and placement. But I now oversee the program. So I'm the program manager. It's kind of been a full circle event, which is kind of awesome. And I spend a lot of time in the local government space and advocating for people to join local government because it's a wonderful job. And the city of Long Beach is a great place to work. And this is one of the ways in which I get to give back to the next generation of local government superstars. So I'm super excited about that. Um, we're going to go over a number of things today about kind of the technical aspects of how we go about advertising and recruiting and screening and ultimately selecting our management assistants. But this is the longest running municipal management program in California. We're celebrating our 45th year, and it's the second longest running program in the country next to the city of Phoenix. So we've been doing this for a long time. A number of our alums are part of our city organization, from our city manager, Tom Modica, to several department directors and managers, to a number of analysts and capital project coordinators and program specialists across the city. So we have a vast array of alumni here in our organization, as well as in local governments, state governments, county governments across the country, uh, where they have their journey has taken them, away from the city of Long Beach, but are still working in and around government. So this is our succession plan for our organization, amongst several other ways in which to grow your career with the city. And it's a really unique and highly coveted program that we run here, and we'll get to tell you a little bit more about why that is. So with that, I am here and I'm going to be in the chat. So if you have questions, I know Andre said to hold them, but feel free to drop them in and we'll try and get to them as they come up, or I'll let you know, hey, that's going to be on a future slide. And so we'll get to them and then we'll have a chance for some Q&A at the end. Sound good? Alrighty, Yesenia, it's your show.
Thank you so much. Bethelyn, would you mind sharing the slides? I'll go over a brief agenda and then I'll hand it off to Anthony. Perfect. Can you all see the slides? Awesome. So as Meredith mentioned, we'll be talking about our management assistant program. It's a one-year rotational fellowship program. So management assistants complete 4 rotations throughout their program year. Next slide, please, Bethelyn. Perfect. So just a few agenda topics. We'll talk a little bit about the program overall, about the city of Long Beach. We'll talk about some recent alumni experience, position benefits. We'll dive into the application process, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. But as Meredith mentioned, if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and hand it off to Anthony.
Thanks, Yesenia. Hey, everyone. My name is Anthony. Happy to share about management assistant program here at the city. To kind of just dive in, so the City of Long Beach Management Assistant Program, as Meredith mentioned, is the longest running nationally ranked municipal management development program in California, and it really offers a unique experience for a fellowship kind of approach. You get to experience a lot of high priority projects, engaging rotations, advanced.
Anthony, your Sound is
opportunities for
going
career
out.
and personal
So
growth.
then the muffler. Yeah.
Give it another try, Anthony. I think it might just be the
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah. Might just be a lag.
Is it a little bit better?
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, just to kind of go back. So yeah, the program really offers a extensive opportunity to really engage in high priority projects and engage you rotations, and you really do build a strong network of alumni through events and kind of development. So that's a little bit about the program. Next slide, please. And this kind of gives a overview of the kind of rotation process that management assistants follow. So they do rotate through 4 departments, and each rotation is 3 months each. There is a 2-week orientation process where the management assistants will meet with different department heads. They'll learn a lot about all of our, vast array of citywide departments and kind of operations, and that's where a lot of the networking and building of relationships kind of happens. And then you also get exposure to a lot of city leadership through just different opportunities and networking events that happen. And then they also are afforded opportunities on one-on-one mentorship with specific department directors, and this just happens through your time as you kind of work through the whole program. And at the conclusion of it, like I mentioned, there is that alumni network. So these opportunities are very frequent. And then there is a lot of training and development that happens, I think, because the management assistants fortunately get to rotate through so many different departments and make so many different connections. There is a lot of opportunity for training and development as you learn and grow, through that 1 year fellowship. And then, as I mentioned, the alumni network is really strong throughout the program, and even at the initial recruiting stages, we like to set up management assistants so that they're prepared to kind of have that strong network available to them. And a lot of the former management assistants, whether they stay at the city or are with the city, really like to partner and make sure that management assistants have a great experience, throughout their time here. Next slide, please. And then so the program did start in 1981, and it's been ongoing since then. Management assistants have a really exposed opportunity to do high priority city projects. This is kind of tailored to your department and kind of what that department is offering at that point in time. So the projects do vary. You get to build a lot of professional experience to kind of lead local government. So we do market the program to those that are kind of seeking to have that professional experience to kind of lead future, generations of municipal government. So that's kind of the overview that we like to share. And then the leadership team here really is invested in sharing values and your success throughout the program. So throughout your entire time as a management assistant, we do ensure that we're meeting with you at all kind of different levels, so that your success is kind of tracked throughout your employment with the city. Next slide, please. And just some quick facts about our city that we'd like to mention. The city does have a population of 450,000 residents, so we are a really large city. We're ranked as one of the most diverse cities in the country. And then we are a full service charter city, so all that really means is that we're a city that offers our own airport. We're one of few cities that actually has its own health department. And then we do follow a council manager form of government. So we have 9 city council districts, and then we're led by our city manager, Tom Modica. And then we do have over 24 city departments that are offered, from fire to police, library department. There's a lot of options, HR. And then we have over 6,000 employees here at the city. And then our annual budget is a little over $3 billion. So it's a little bit about us. We of course have other great things in our city like Cal State Long Beach City College, the Queen Mary, the Port of Long Beach. So it really is a really great city to work and partner with. And I think we just have a lot of opportunities because of the kind of large scope that we have. So again, as a management assistant, you really do get the opportunity to kind of see full citywide operations in kind of different areas, and within different departments. Next slide, please. And then as I was kind of talking about the rotation, so the way the program is kind of structured is that as a management assistant, you will rotate through 4 different rotations. 2 of those rotations are required in 2 specified departments, which include the city manager's office. And then we also have a rotation with our financial management department, specifically in the budget bureau. So these 2 rotations will kind of be selected. There usually is just one management assistant at a time per kind of department, I guess, unless there's extenuating circumstances and things kind of change. And then the other 2 additional rotations are kind of listed here. These are some examples of previous rotations that other former management assistants have kind of followed. So community development, economic development, health and human services, our public safety field, Long Beach Airport, Parks and Recs, Public Works, Technology Innovation, and then as well as other city departments. We do, a lot of polling and surveying with the departments to kind of ensure that we're reaching out, and it kind of just depends on whatever the department kind of needs or needs support with. That's when we kind of make the decision to bring management assistants in. So yeah, the 2 required departments will be noted, and then the elective 2 rotation departments are kind of just based on department needs at the time of that kind of hiring season or hiring cycle. Next slide, please. And then these are kind of a typical assignment. So we wanted to kind of outline a day in the life as a management assistant. So these are just some different areas that a management assistant might focus on. So they are required to attend weekly city council meetings and city manager director meetings. So this is outlined in the program at the early stages. And then we also work they work very closely to analyze current city policies, procedures, update them as needed to kind of align with current trends that might be happening. And then they also get a lot of exposure to write either memos for the directors or city council. You prepare a lot of presentations and or correspondences related to the department that you're working with kind of at that point. And then you also get to work or develop any recommendations to either improve plans, to do requests for proposal, which are RFPs. You can also plan or facilitate any community meetings or city events. And then they also get to coordinate the following year's management assistant program. So this kind of details a lot of the kind of like high level areas that the management assistants are exposed to. And again, operations kind of change department by department, but we really do try to make it a really extensive experience in allowing managements to kind of serve in this high level capacity. And I think this is what makes the program so great. They get the opportunity to make connections and really work on stuff that is going to be impactful and actually potentially redefine or change existing processes in the city. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of get exposed to these different areas of kind of local government. And then as far as coordinating the management assistant program, HR specifically works closely with them to plan the following year program. So they'll work very closely to kind of coordinate and select the next, generation of management assistants. So it really is a full cycle moment, and a lot of them, really enjoy and continue working with kind of the program even after their fellowship has concluded. Next slide, please. And then we wanted to kind of highlight the current management assistants. So as of this year, we have 3 management assistants. So we have Samuel Mann, who completed his MBA and MPP at the University of Chicago. We also have Tori Flowers, who completed her Master's of Arts at Stanford. And then lastly, we have Adriana Morales, who completed her MPA at the University of Southern California. So we really have a diverse group of candidates that we've had the pleasure to work with. And then we wanted to outline them really briefly. So next slide, please. So starting off with Adriana, these are the rotations that she actually got this time around. So she's worked with our Parks and Recreation and Marine Department, our city manager, department, financial management, and our public works department. And some of her assignments included developing a department's community engagement guidelines to expand public participation in park planning projects. And then she also has gotten the opportunity to develop data visuals that illustrate citywide disparities and program impacts. And then now going over Samuel Mann, so his rotations have been financial management, economic development, community development, and then our city manager department. And some of his assignments include creating the fiscal year 26 proposed budget presentation for the press conference at the community engagement meeting. And then he's also worked with streamlining a lot of the workforce development intaking processes. And then lastly, for Tori, her rotations include the city manager department, community development, economic development, and financial management department. And then some of her assignments have included collaborating on the interdepartmental memo on human trafficking and public safety impacts in Northern Long Beach. And then she's also has assisted with helping to plan and facilitate the monthly racial equity executive team session. So as you can see, our three current management assistants have really gotten the opportunity to support and assist in really diverse projects that can be from equity, they can do human trafficking, public safety. It's really a range of different topics that you kind of get exposed to, and I think this is kind of what makes the fellowship so unique and interesting. As a management assistant, although you're going to be working with your kind of fellow management assistants as a cohort, everyone's kind of going to have a unique experience as they rotate through different departments. So you really do get exposed to a lot of high level projects. Next slide. And then, sorry, at the conclusion of the program, a lot of our former management assistants have kind of followed these general roles. But it's not limited to just these roles, but these are kind of other trends that we've seen. So a lot of them transition to program specialist roles, administrative analyst 3 roles, planner 3 roles, or project lead roles. Again, they're kind of set up to kind of be prepared for these positions, and so it really is a streamlined kind of transition into these roles, and they're really highly sought after by other departments across the city. Proven that the program kind of launches you into long-term success and careers, because the management assistants are, get to connect with so many different departments. You really do get to build kind of those networking opportunities with a lot of departments. So at the conclusion of your program, you have if you've built that kind of network, you're able to kind of connect and kind of position your way into a position that potentially fits you and aligns with kind of the roles for that specific position. So it's a really good transition that happens at the conclusion of the program. Next slide, please. And then kind of going back to that alumni network that I had mentioned, you do become kind of this big legacy that exists here with the city, being defined, as a management assistant. These are former positions or management assistants or alumni that are currently in the city that have these are the positions of these folks. So we have a wide range of different positions. So we have deputy directors, deputy city manager, planners, program specialists, business system specialists, assistant to the city manager. So again, it really is a full range of different positions that people kind of end up in, and then continue, serving our great city. And other alumni go on to serve in other leadership positions, either at the national, state, and or local government levels in both the public and private sector. So, regardless of kind of what you do at the conclusion of this program, we know that you will be really well equipped to kind of lead, again, the next generation of kind of uh, local governance. Next slide, please. And then a little bit kind of to outline the kind of HR aspects of the role and some of the benefits that includes. So like I mentioned, there is one-on-one mentorship that happens throughout not only the program, but throughout your experience here at the City of Long Beach. We do provide a lot of professional development opportunities, that alumni network that we talked about. There is commuter incentives for folks. And then the current salary is listed at $91,479 in addition to additional benefits. And these include a CalPERS pension. There is also executive and personal leave. So for the executive leave, management assistants are offered 40 hours of executive leave along with additional personal leave, dictated by the city's rules. And then there is medical, dental, and vision benefits that are provided. There's hybrid work schedule opportunities. So again, dependent on each kind of department's operational need, your schedule would be flexible. And then there is discounted gym pass membership. So this is a program that the city has introduced that offers the opportunity for you to kind of subscribe in different tiers. So for example, if you're in like the lowest tier, you might pay a flat fee of like $20, but then you have access to gyms like LA Fitness, Crunch, what's another one? 24-hour fitness. So you're paying one flat fee, but you get access to multiple gyms. There's different tiers, so the higher the tier goes, the more kind of access you'll get to different networks and gyms. And there is a lot of mental health resources that are offered through those services as well. So it's a really great benefit package that these management assistants receive. Next slide, please. And then kind of going over the general application process. So in order to kind of, prep you guys for this position if you're interested, we really want applicants to kind of start planning early just because the application does have a few different components. So as far as education, the requirement is that you do need to have a completed master's degree by June 2026 in order to be eligible for that program. We've haven't really limited the fields of work. We keep it very general. Some of the previous ones that we've kind of seen is public administration, public policy, urban planning, business administration, organizational leadership, social work. Again, we really don't have a limit as to what type of degree will qualify as long as it's conferred by that year. And pretty much, if you're not interested in applying for this next upcoming cohort, then as long as your degree is conferred by June of whatever that year is, then you should be eligible. So, for example, for next year's cohort, we would ask that all degrees be conferred no later than June 2027 if you want to be eligible for that cohort. And then transitioning into a little bit about the experience, we do require that management assistants that are applying have at least 6 months of relevant experience in the following areas. So either government, nonprofit work, consulting, project management, or something similar will qualify you for that application. And then as far as the actual application, it is all done online digitally. So we do require that you attach your resume, cover letter, as well as your application. And then we have 3 short essay responses that are requested. These 3 short responses are no more than 2 pages, and they're really used to kind of capture your interest in the program, and this is what's really used for kind of the vetting process of the application. And then, of course, we will require proof of graduate degree or enrollment by that corresponding year. And then if for whatever reason you are disqualified, the city does actually offer a applicant appeal process for this position. So upon receiving your disqualification, applicants have 5 business days after receiving their initial rejection to submit an appeal that then gets funneled up to HR leadership for consideration. So yeah, we really encourage you to submit your application, even if you don't think you're qualified or you don't think that you fit this role perfectly. We always encourage everyone to apply because it's a really great opportunity. Next slide, please. And then this is actually an outline of kind of how the program has worked this year. So we thought this might be helpful to kind of give an overview of an example of the timeline that you can expect. So applications for this current cohort opened on August 11th, 2025. And then the filing period remained open until December 12th, 2025. This will most likely stay the same for the next cohort. So we usually open it about 3-ish months ahead of the closing date. So you have about 3 months to kind of gather your materials for that application. And then throughout this time, we do provide some services that I'll kind of share on the next slide. And then usually in January of that following year, we'll host virtual video interviews that are scheduled so that you can kind of share additional or you answer additional questions to kind of consider you for that role. And then usually in about February, all applicants are notified of kind of their status in the current cohort, and then those that are selected are then asked to continue on to the assessment center. The amount of people that are selected kind of varies every year as far as the actual. For the assessment center, we usually have about 8 people that are sent to that day, and then based on kind of budget and other decisions at the leadership level, we usually have about 1 to 4 management assistants per cohort year. The assessment center does take place in April of that year, and then the offers are extended that day. So the assessment center is kind of just a 1 day or 2 day kind of on-demand interview process that just involves a lot of different questions and assessments to kind of gauge, your day as or day in the life as a management assistant. And then we do extend, offers to those top candidates on that day, so everyone will know if they're selected or not. And then usually in about June, we do then start their first day of employment as a management assistant. So that's kind of the general timeline. It usually follows this process year to year, unless there's like, again, special adjustments made. This is what a typical timeline would look like. Next slide, please. And then, as I mentioned, before the application is submitted, we do provide a lot of support. So we usually do host additional sessions. So as of now, we don't have those exact dates selected, but we do know that we are going to host one info session in preparation for the program, pretty much from September to November. The application will open in about August time and then close in December. So we will share those dates, as they become available. But just, mark it on your calendar for now. And then we do offer drop-in sessions as well. So we usually host 2 sessions, and these sessions are hosted prior to closing of the application. So we usually do it the week of it closing. So the info sessions are kind of geared to just provide additional information like this. If you have further questions at that point, we usually invite our management assistants to sit in those information sessions so that you can ask, hands-on questions about their experience, either through the application process or as a current, management assistant. And then the drop-in sessions are geared more towards just any like closing questions you might have about the program, any submittal support for your application can be answered then. And then HR is present in all of these sessions, so you can always ask any HR related questions as well. And then we did want to include our management assistant website. So we will be sharing, the slide deck with you guys so you guys can have it. And this website does have a lot of the information that I covered today. So the website has a lot of information about our alumni network. We offer a lot of resources on there. You can kind of go through and connect with former alumni that have done the program, learn about, the importance of the program, why we have it. So yeah, it's a really good resource if you kind of want to learn more, but something that I might have not covered today. Next slide, please. And then that is pretty much it. We do have our email here listed, so if you do have any questions, that you don't get answered today, feel free to email us. We're more than happy to assist you. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to open up the floor and see if anyone has any questions that weren't already answered in the chat. I did see the chat keep popping up, so I saw a lot of action there.
And thank you very much, Anthony, for sharing. And please do, everyone. And you know what? Feel free also to open up your camera if you want, raise hands and ask questions that way. I know people have been dropping questions in the chat, which is fine. But sharing your face if you want to is help. It helps to get to see who you are, right? Who knows? May give you a boost in the application process. I don't, right? I'm just joking. I don't know. Don't count don't count me on that, right? But a couple of hands going up there. Um, Chloe, Chloe and
Hi.
Martin.
Hi, my name's Chloe. And I just had a quick question. I remember in one of the slides it talked about the compensation portion. Was that already if you are a management assistant, like you've already completed the program, or is that the compensation that you'll receive since this is a full-time paid position?
Yeah, that will be the compensation that you will receive as a full-time paid position. That was the salary that was selected for this current cohort. We might see changes, for the next year. So yeah, we
Mhm.
just pulled the previous one.
Okay, thank you. And I do like that benefits are offered too. I think that's a big deal in
Yeah,
today's world. So thank
definitely.
you for confirming.
Of course.
Yeah, we agree. And I'll just follow up to say, Chloe, for this program, we call it a fellowship. And I know many programs may use the term fellowship, and they may be, part-time or like an internship. This is a full-time fellowship meant to be where you get that kind of apprenticeship experience, right? So you are doing all the things that a city employee would do, and it's unique because you have access to, leadership, and it can really jumpstart your career. And so think about it, like a full-time job, but in that kind of apprenticeship environment.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I was also asking if it's full time as well because
Yeah, yeah.
like I do work full time myself, but if it's doesn't make sense to keep my full time and then be in the program, like that's why just being proactive is what I was asking for. So, thank you.
Good question. Yep.
Martin
Can I
or
also
Martin.
add something
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes, yeah.
really quick? Just sorry, Chloe. And also, it's important to note that our management assistants fall under our management positions. So perks like executive leave, those are things that typically only management gets. So that's 40 free hours, doesn't hit your vacation bucket, your sick time, 40 free hours of vacation that you get to use annually. So things like that, just to throw that in there as perks on why you guys should all apply to the
Thank
program.
you.
You're welcome.
Martin, please.
Hello. So I have a general question in terms of job opportunities. I know that the Graduate Business Center can help with that, but right now I'm still a student looking to grow my skill sets. I'm currently looking for work and I'm expected to graduate in December 2027. I'm a part of the public administration program.
Yeah. Sorry, Martin. I missed the beginning part of your question, but I believe you were asking if like you would qualify under kind of those conditions.
Not necessarily qualify, more like looking for potential prospects. Uh, to kind of like gain the experience as well. I have experience in the nonprofit sector,
Oh, I see.
so I'm just looking to like network or look for other employment opportunities.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can tackle that real quick. For sure, Martin, please do visit our career center, the Career Development Center. I don't know if you had a chance to meet with any of the counselors there yet. Marianne and I work with the Graduate Business Career Center, which is a specific career center for the graduate business students. But the CDC as a whole, the Career Development Center, definitely has resources to help you out, and they can help you with strategy in regards to how to target opportunities that are in line with your studies and get you the experience you need so that you definitely can qualify as well for the MAP program that they have. Yesenia, you wanted to say something, yeah?
Yes, just to add, I'm more than happy to connect with you. If someone can just drop my email in the chat, my keyboard's not working, so I haven't been able to type. But I'm happy to meet with you, get you connected to one of our TA specialists that can kind of crosswalk career opportunities here. We have hundreds of classifications that you can explore. Not all require a completion of a degree. Some undergrad, some high school, some require, master's degrees. but more than happy to talk to you about some opportunities we have with the city outside of the management assistant program because we're always hiring.
Yeah, I just
Great.
put your email in the chat now.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and my final follow-up for you, Martin, is that I think as you're thinking about what you would like to do from a career standpoint is if you can get experience in that particular area. So let's say I know you're an MPA student, and let's say you have a strong desire to work, in community at the local level. Find ways where you can gain that experience aligned with that career path. And so there was, I think Rex had asked previously about if you're in private industry. There's nothing wrong with private industry. There's nothing wrong with any other career path. It goes, we look for transferable skills. And so where you can build those transferable skills, and if you can do it in your kind of chosen profession, you have a track record of indicating that this is really where you want to be. Now, if you have, private industry or nonprofit or adjacent experience, part of the trick is being able to communicate how what you have learned and what you have done and what you've contributed would be meaningful in this profession, right? And folks can still do that, and both are valid reasons, to be selected as part of the candidate pool, right? So those are the kind of different pieces of advice depending on where you're coming from for your career.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. So for questions, let's go Lorena, then Rex, then Gerardo.
Hi, my question it was, I think, a little answered by right now, but just in general, what are the skills or the abilities or the things that you guys are looking to in this new hire that you're trying to get? So we are more mindful about this when we go to apply and highlight our abilities or skills or knowledge.
I can start this off, and then if Yesenia or Meredith want to jump in. I think there's not really one specific skill that we're looking for. I think at the end of the day, like I mentioned, the management assistants really are a diverse group of candidates that come from kind of different backgrounds and experiences. A lot of the time, they don't really have the same degrees or they didn't go to the same exact schools. So their experiences are a little bit different, but we really appreciate this. I think in kind of the application process, as I mentioned, there is 3 questions that are really geared towards you kind of sharing your experiences and how you can apply your current skills as a management assistant. And I think that's the biggest recommendation I have. Definitely take the time to really curate that application so that it kind of highlights these skills because that's kind of what's going to make you stand out in the application and vetting process. So yeah, there's not one specific thing that we can share as like the one that's going to get you in. It really is just a blend of different experiences and roles that you have previously had.
Nice. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anthony. Rex.
Okay, I have 2 questions. The first question that I have, how far back as a candidate do you guys look at somebody's work experience and their history? Would that be something like 2 years or 10 years? How far back as a candidate would you guys want to look at their work history?
I think we take a very holistic approach to your application. So the City of Long Beach is a Fair Chance Act employer. So we will look at other experiences just as it kind of aligns with kind of the role. Again, there's no specific thing we're kind of looking for. However, in the application, given that it is an official, government application, we do ask that you list all relevant or applicable work experience as you see fit for kind of that role. And again, the selection committee at that point will kind of look at each experience and kind of see how it kind of fits with the role. So there's not kind of like a cutoff or expectation. We just kind of expect candidates to share, as much experience as they've had. And then we'll kind of look at it holistically and kind of go from there. Does that kind of answer your question?
A little bit because I do have government experience, Board of Equalization experience, working with the state board, but that goes back roughly about 11 years ago. So I don't know if that's something that you guys would like to consider, somebody that has done audit work out in the field, because
Yeah.
I've had prior experience in government. but it's something that I wouldn't mind returning. I wouldn't mind returning back to working in government, but an opportunity like this sounds very interesting, very unique. So, I
Yeah,
I would definitely be interested in trying to pursue this type of opportunity. So,
definitely, yeah. We will again consider all experience as relevant or as applicable. We I think definitely encourage people to really include kind of every single experience that they've ever done, just in all general applications for kind of the city of Long Beach or any government agencies that you're kind of considering. I think it's really important to just kind of share all of your experiences. You never know when a specific experience might kind of stand out to a specific hiring manager. So yeah, we do ask that you share as much experience as you've had, and we will consider all experience in kind of your application.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, and Rex, to that point, one of the questions that we ask, I'm gonna not get it word for word, but we ask about like why this program, why Long Beach, why now, right? And that gives you a chance to tell your story. And as I'm hearing you tell it, is you have had some experience at the local level that was meaningful and impactful to you and perhaps to a community, and you might want to get back to that, and that might be what you want to tell us as a part of that question, right? Because you have that experience. And so if that, that kind of thing, that story resonates with you and that comes to mind for that question, that gives you a chance to sort of explain yourself why you may have gone, in and around some local experience, local government experience, and then bumped around to some of the other industries, and gives a chance to say, like, what curiosities drove your career trajectory and what you've learned from that and why local government's important, right? So those supplemental questions help, each of you kind of tell that story about why you want to be here, why you want to do this, why this is kind of your position of choice. And everyone has their own lived experience, and that's a really great way to tell us a little bit more about you.
Awesome. Now, really quick, what I'm going to do is I am going to drop a quick survey link in the chat. Please do, it's a 2-minute chat, 2-minute survey, fill it out for us. In the meantime, I want to go to, is it Gerardo to ask you a question? I think there was is it Mutmina had a question? Then you put your hand down. I don't know if Mutmina, if you had a question. If so, please do ask after Gerardo. All right.
Yes, hi, good evening, everybody. I believe I applied for this position sometime last year. It was through the city website, and I knew that it said you had to have your degree completed by June of 26, but I applied anyway. Didn't get selected, and now that I've heard all this information, it just encourages me to do it again. But is that really the one criteria that you need to have completed is a degree to be selected, or should I just wait to 2027 to apply again?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, so for next cohort for 2027 to 2028, we will require that you have a master's degree completed by June of 2027. So that's going to be the criteria. And again, the fields are really open, but that is unfortunately one of the criteria that we do need in order for you to be qualified for the program.
By 2027, so I could apply the next time it opens up.
Yes, so if you have it, because again, we've already closed this cohort. It's
Right.
a little misleading given the PowerPoint, but for next year, we would require that it be by June 2027. So
and
anything,
and
sorry.
likewise, I'd be interested in something else within the city. I'm on the website almost every day, just looking to see if there's anything new that popped up, something that might be up my alley or something that might catch my attention. But this information session is really informative. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, of course. And then as Yesenia mentioned, there's a lot of other opportunities that, we'll highlight. I'm actually going to drop the general jobs website for all of you folks. This has our general careers page, and it offers just a wide range of opportunities that are always being, posted. So we definitely recommend, if maybe the management assistant program is not something that you're interested in at this time, you consider any of our other opportunities as well.
And I would say, a number of positions, and some guidance might be, fake it till you make it, apply. And this is not that position. So we don't want you to spend a ton of time, applying for something that you will automatically be disqualified for because you don't have that degree, right? So please apply for when you are truly, truly eligible. And that way you can be in a space where you can maximize your success as part of the resume review. Okay.
Andre, you're muted. I think Momena was next.
Yeah, I was gonna say really quick that before you go moving on, just want to say checking for time. About 6:30 we're wrapping up, so about maybe say 14 more minutes. I want to be respectful to our guests in case they want to stay a little bit longer they can, but just letting everybody know 6:30 is when we wrap up. So, but thank you, Marianne. Yes, Mumina and then Chloe.
Thank you guys so much for this very informative session. I had seen the emails about this program, so I joined. A lot of the questions were answered. Just a couple of things. You kind of briefly touched on it. So after the initial screening, who vets these resumes? Are they like the department heads that we would be potentially interning at, the 4 departments that you guys went over? And then also, what are like the top 3 qualities, Meredith? Maybe this question is for you since you've already been through the program that they're potentially looking for in our resumes or in, during the interview for a, candidate to successfully do well in that role. So these are the 2 questions.
Did you want me to start off, Meredith, regarding the? Okay. Yeah, so just quickly going over the first question, it really is kind of a mix. So generally, after your application is submitted and you meet the minimum qualifications from the HR standpoint, we usually have the former management assistants from the cohort select the top 25, and then it kind of just goes through a process of an executive committee review at that point, and then again at that point you kind of move on to the assessment center where it's a mix of different individuals at the city. So yeah, there's not a really clear process, but that's kind of the general outline that it follows. And then I'll turn it over to Meredith.
Sure. So in terms of the management assistants, the current class reviews and does the first cut, and they select the top 25 and 10 alternates. That gets forwarded onto the executive committee that Anthony mentioned, and that is the program manager, so me, our HR director, one of our equity team members. So it might be our equity manager or one of our deputy city managers who works on the equity program. And then one of the raters for the assessment center. So they see they kind of follow you, right? So they see the application and then they'll be in the room for the assessment center for one of the rating as one of the raters. And then the top 8 candidates get invited to an all-day assessment center that has a budget exercise, a written exercise, team exercises, that sort of thing. And that's the day that those who are the top candidates get the job on the spot. So that's who is generally involved in the process. And then each group of people who review the applications go through implicit bias training and equity training before they're able to look at the applications. And we do that every year. So we're looking for as a diverse candidate group as we can from the typical race, ethnicity, gender, age, but also lived experience, professional experience, and things of that nature. And so we want to be an organization that is reflective of our community, and we have very strong equity values. That's really important to us, and that's the reason that we have shaped that review process in such that way. And then remind me of your second question. You were asking me about the top.
Yeah, how to succeed in this role if you do get to be one of the 3 or 4 people who get selected. So how do you successfully complete the internship other than having a good resume and having that experience?
Yeah, of course. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. I got caught up with our first answer. So, we're looking for flexibility, adaptability, eagerness, earnestness, can-do attitude, someone who has some technical skills. It could be financial or data analysis. It could be policy writing. Usually it's a combination of different things because people work on different things in school and in their career. So we've had people who, have done planning reports or GIS. We've had people do like business analysis, financial accounting, so there's some level of technical competencies that people bring, and so we're looking for kind of advanced technical skills in whatever area that you're strong in. And someone who is a believer in public service at the local level, right? So even if you don't have that experience, but you can share why, or you're adjacent, or you have those transferable skills, that's what's really important. Local government is a very unique circumstance. As being in the local community, you are part of people's everyday lives, whether they realize it or not. It's a very public job, and the more our lives get polarized, you can feel that some of the work is really difficult. Some of the work is amazing. Building a new playground and seeing kids like slide down that slide, for the first time, or if they go to a rec park kind of over by you all at Cal State Long Beach and they play with the big dinosaur structure, like I used to do that and design playgrounds. Like that's the coolest thing. And talking with community and meeting them where they're at, like this is amazing work. And so really understanding kind of what that is and the value that that provides to a community and the legacy that you'll leave is very important. And understanding that kind of walking into the space helps you be successful. So those are some of the things it kind of in that space, and sort of just being that can-do person who's like willing to step in and help, and figuring things out and problem solving and critical thinking while you're in the position, because this is not a hand-holding position. Like we will give you training, we will point you in the right direction, but there's a lot of personal initiative and networking and relationship building that happens while you're in the position, which is very valuable to your career afterward.
Yeah.
Yesenia is doing a lot of this, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. 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 And if I can add to, I just think working for the city, if you're the type of person who likes to, you guys Meredith touched on, just interact with the community, give back. City of Long Beach is an amazing city throughout the United States, period. The initiatives they have going on, it's what I would call, again, I don't know, like a self-contained city in a sense where its own airport. You're talking about beaches, multitude of different neighborhoods. It's growing. That's the Olympics is coming there. I mean, it's a thriving city. It's a good city. So
Got a lot going
so
on.
there's a lot going on. A lot going on. In regards to this information session, we will also be having a site visit um, with the team here. They've been kind enough to open up their doors to allow us to come visit. I'm going to drop that link in the chat in case you haven't had the opportunity to sign up for the site visit. However, you do have to do this within 24 hours. You do need to sign the form, get it into us within 24 hours, as we do need to run this through um, you know um, management to for all the legalities and liabilities and all that stateside stuff. But yes, let me not hold up any more here. Those who have questions, I think Chloe, did you have another question?
And I will just say,
Yeah,
Chloe, can I
I'm
just
sorry,
interrupt
go ahead,
really
Meredith.
quickly before you ask your question? For the site visit, you'll get to see City Hall and you'll get to meet with a panel of alumni where you can hear about kind of day in the life. So it's going to be a little bit different than today's session. So just as an FYI, we'll be able to you'll hear directly from some of our alumni and see where we work and, talk about emerging issues and things of that nature. So it's going to be a little bit more dynamic than just kind of the screen. This is the entry info session for today. Sorry, Chloe, go ahead.
that's okay. I just had two quick questions. One, it doesn't matter when you graduated with your master's, right? Because I do have a master's, but I graduated in 2019.
It does
Does that
not
still
matter. It does not matter
okay?
when you graduated, as so long as you have your master's. And we have
Okay.
had folks who have been successful candidates who have come right out of their master's program. And we've had a number of people who have had maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years of experience. And we've had people who have come in with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of experience, in a variety of different industries. So, the when you get that and where you're at the stage of your career is not it is not a determining factor. It's sort of one of the many things that we look at as we're assessing kind of the best fit for the program.
Okay, thank you. And my other question is, you guys will let us know when applications open. I know they gave that tentative schedule, but that was for the previous cohort, from my understanding. So we'll know, and I know he said it was similar, but somewhat similar, but we'll get when you guys open up for basically next year's program, right?
Yeah, that's right. Anthony?
Yeah,
Okay,
I would
perfect.
recommend checking our website closer to like July. Usually around June or July is when we start updating the website and we'll update all the timelines and schedules. And then the team does a really good job of reaching out to local universities, especially, Cal State Long Beach. So you'll definitely hear about the program. But yeah, I recommend just keeping a radar around June, July so that you're kind of ready and prepared to apply for the program at that time.
Yeah. And we
Okay,
have
thank you.
Andre, Marianne on the list for getting that information, as well as Dr. Butts in the MPA
Yeah.
program. So there's a number of folks that we have kind of across the Cal State Long Beach network where you will hear that information and posting in all of the college places that jobs are posted, and ideally sharing around in classrooms as well.
Yeah, I was just going to mention we'll push that out as well on our end. All right, I know we have a couple more minutes, literally, I believe two, a couple.
I think Rex
So,
had a second question that we might have skipped over. Rex, did we answer everything you said? You had two, and then I think we only got to one.
No, actually, no, thank you. Appreciate for addressing that. No, you guys did answer the question because it was just the second question I had is that I did have prior government experience working for a state of California government agency, and just, the question was asked whether or not that prior experience would matter. But the
Okay.
concern I had about that particular experience, that was from like 11 years ago. So,
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes that's still meaningful.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then Yesenia, we had one in the chat that I attempted, and I hope I'm right. It was about
CalPERS.
um, vesting in CalPERS, and so I believe that the question had to do with if you are in this role, how does that work with CalPERS? And I believe it's an accumulation. Is that correct?
Correct. And you're vested after 5 years.
Okay, vested after 5 years. Very good. I got one. I got one right.
so look at that. Even stepping into a fellowship, you can still work and get a pension. How awesome.
That's right.
All right. So I know it's got about a minute. Any um final questions?
Maybe one silly one, any tuition reimbursement support in that end?
That's
This
a good question. Go ahead, Anthony.
Sorry, yeah. Unfortunately, the city does not currently offer tuition reimbursement. However, we do have reimbursement for specific like training and development programs. I can drop the link in the chat that kind of explains a little bit about that. But yeah, unfortunately, no current tuition reimbursement at this time.
No worries. Thank you.
And we do not the same thing that you just asked, but we also do provide some level of professional development. So for instance, memberships to like ICMA, the International City County Managers Association, and others, if you're a planner like American Planning Association, and we do try and get our management assistants to a local conference, one local conference in a year, so you can network and see what's happening in the industry. So not exactly what you asked for in terms of your question, but there's other ways to sort of be able to get that professional development as we want to make sure that we're exposing our management assistants to as many opportunities as possible.
Okay. Awesome. Looks like you have been awesome. You've answered all the questions. No one has any further questions. Um, I just really wanted to take the time to thank the City of Long Beach team. They've been awesome taking the time speaking with all of our students. I highly encourage you when the application opens up next year, take a look at it, take a look at the job board that they have right now. Um, so long as they're comfortable with it, connect with them on LinkedIn. They must be because they share their email address. I mean, that's you're brave. Um, getting hit with a lot of
I might not
emails.
get back to you in 24 hours. I try. But yes, LinkedIn is fine as well, if that's easier for you.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I'm gonna drop this survey one more time in the chat, but I just wanted to wrap things up again and say thank you very much. For those of you who are going to the site visit, we will see you there. And again, if you would like to go, you do have 24 hours to get that request in to attend. All right. Okay, looks like that is it. Thank you again, everyone, and we will see you when we see you next time. All right, take care.
Thanks,
Thank you, Meredith,
everyone.
Yesenia,
Thanks,
and the team. Take
everyone.
care. All
Take
right,
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You.
Bye.